I had gone for the Sandakphu Phalut trek with Indiahikes in the past. It turned out to be an amazing experience that year. In this video, I will sit down and talk to you about my experience and also answer some basic questions which will help you to prepare yourself mentally, especially if you are going for a trek for the first time. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about these points so that it will be useful to you in case you're planning for this particular trek. This year, after 2 years, doesn't matter. So let's begin. The first thing is the total distance of the trek and how does it feel to actually hike from the starting till the beginning. According to me, now if you go to any websites, you will get, like day wise, like day 1, day 2, day 3. These are kind of itineraries that you will be having. So I went for this trek with Indiahikes, right? But I don't want to tell day wise. I will in fact divide it into 4 parts. So first of all, it is 68 kilometers long approximately. I don't know who calculated it, but it's said to be 68 kilometers long and it takes 7 days. Now these 7 days are not your hiking days. Okay, the first day is also included, whereas when you just reach the base camp and you rest for the night and you start hiking the next day. So the number of days you're actually going to hike is around 6 days. Okay? So the first part of the trek is you reach the base camp, and the next day, which is day 2, you hike and you reach this place called Samandin, which is at 7,000 something feet. The first day of any trek, especially long treks, is always, a little bit of, I would say you have to push yourself in terms of, it might be a little challenging, or at least the first 2 to 4 hours, because you're carrying your backpack in case you do not offload it. I do not like to offload it. So, you might feel it a little bit challenging. But so this is the first part of the trek. You reach at this place called Samandin, which is 7,300 or 400 feet or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Second part is from this place called Samandin to Moli. Now, why do I say this is the second part? Because at this stretch, you are gaining the maximum altitude or elevation in a single day. So you rise from 7,000 something feet to about 11,200 or 300 feet. So it is the day you're technically entering the high altitude region. So that is why this is definitely one important part of the trek. You're gaining 4,000 feet of altitude in a single day. The third part is from Moli campsite, you hike to this place called Phalut, which is the second highest peak of this point. And you come back to a place called Sabargram, and next day you move from Sabargram to this place called Aal, A-A-L. So 2 days. Now these 2 days, I will club it into one particular part. Why? Because you are not gaining too much of altitude or losing too much of altitude on these 2 days. You are basically hiking on a similar altitude, almost. Of course, you rise from 11,200 to something 900, then back at 11,500, 600, and then you go to Aal. So it's almost similar. But this part, there are long hikes. So you'll be hiking for again 8 to 10 hours on both the days. Of course, it's beautiful. The meadows are amazing. The views of, the big mountains, the Kanchenjunga. You can also see Everest from a point. They're all super, super beautiful, no doubt. But from this place called Aal, the next day, you descend down to this place called Gurdom. And you go to this place via Sandakphu, which is the highest point of this trek. Now here you're descending. So this is another part of the trek. So you descend down to Gurdom and then back to Sepi. Now why am I telling this is the last or another part of the trek? Is because this is where you lose elevation. You come down to lower altitudes. And technically, this should be the most easiest part, right? I mean, just think about it. Let's say you've never been, if you've never been for any treks ever in your life, this is going to be your first trek. So what's your idea in the mind? What's your thought? Will you face more challenging situation while climbing, while gaining elevation, or while going downhill? Technically, a lot of people will actually think, yeah, going down should be easy, right? But that's not actually the case. A lot of people think going down is going to be super easy. Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of, toll as like a cardio kind of session. No, it doesn't. It feels way easy, but it takes a lot of toll on your knees if you have not prepared yourself well, or if you're not used to continuous or regular hiking. It gives a great feeling, by the way, when you kind of complete the trek and come back to your base camp. So these are the 4 parts of the trek. The topography, of course, changes from time to time. You lose when you gain elevation. You come to those beautiful meadows, especially in the 3rd part of the trek. Those long hikes, right? That is, I think it's one of the most beautiful feelings in the whole trek, especially this campsite called Sabargram. It is so beautiful. It is just amazing. I love it. It is perhaps my favorite campsite. And hiking on those open ridges and meadows is such a beautiful feeling. Expected temperature conditions and weather during the winter months. So I went in January 2nd week, and it was definitely peak winter, but without snow. It was completely dry conditions. The night temperatures from this, when we were at 11,000 plus feet on 2 or 3 of those days, it would easily drop to below -7, -8. So it is definitely very cold. And the daytimes are, of course, bright, sunny, but the wind is icy cold. So a lot of people think, oh, it's sunny and I can just remove my jacket and hide. People actually think like that, but that's not the case. It is really cold. Next is, do you expect to see snow on the trail in this trek? Now, here's my honest opinion on this. Sandakphu Phalut trek is not a trek that you should be choosing to go and experience snow. That doesn't mean it doesn't snow. Of course it snows over there. But it is not going to be very regular. It completely depends on your luck. It is a region where the snowfall has reduced gradually over the past few years, right? So if you want to just go for a snow trek, I would suggest during the winter months you can choose any of the treks in the Uttarakhand region, Brahmatal, Kedarkantha, Kuwari Pass, and all of that, a couple of more. That will be a better option. But here, you may see snow. I mean, if you're lucky, if the weather turns up, you can definitely experience snowfall. There's no doubt about it. But that should not be the sole reason why you're going for this trek, in my opinion. Here, it is about those beautiful vast meadows, looking at those big mountains, looking at the highest peak of India. And it's a different feeling, right? So snow is something that you should not over expect. That would be my opinion in this particular trek. How will the trek be non-winter months? A lot of people have asked this question. In short, very beautiful. I would personally love to go back to this trek in a non-winter month, maybe April, where it's moderately pleasantly cold for sure, or perhaps end of September or October, soon after monsoon. I think it's closed during the monsoon time. I think this is going to be a beautiful trek for the non-winter months as well. I have seen pictures and I have friends who've been for this trek in the non-winter months. The lush green feeling of those vast meadows and looking at those high peaks, if you get a clear sky during that time, it is a beautiful feeling. And personally, I really love to experience the same place in different seasons. I feel that is such a beautiful feeling. So yes, non-winter months, definitely. It is without a doubt a great option. You know what happens in winter trek? Anywhere, whether it's Sandakphu or the snow treks, apart from the experience of hiking or trekking, which is a great adventure, no doubt about it, it is also about dealing with the weather conditions, especially the cold. I've been for treks in Uttarakhand where it's -15 and below, windy. That is a crazy feeling. I mean, dealing with the cold itself becomes an adventure. So it's a different kind of feeling altogether. But when you hike in non-winter months, summers, soon after monsoon, it's a very blissful feeling, I would say. You are kind of relaxed in a way, not wanting to or not having to take care of the cold Of course, you still need to wear a down jacket in your campsite and all that, but it's a beautiful feeling according to me. So it boils down to what you want to experience. But is the Sandakphu Phalut trek difficult, and do you need to prepare well? Oh yes, 100% yes. I don't think this is a trek you should go just wake up one day and book a ticket after 2 or 3 weeks and chalo, let's go. You should not do that unless you are regularly keeping yourself fit, either running, cycling, strength training and all of that. Or you're somebody who lives in the mountains. You just hike up and down every single day. Your body is just used to it, right? If not, you have to prepare yourself well, because you're going to be hiking for really long hours every day, like 8 to 10 hours at an average. It depends on the speed of the group as well. So without any kind of preparation, this hiking is a big no, according to me. And when you prepare yourself well, what happens? It's not that you cannot do the trek if you don't prepare. You can. Maybe you can, okay? But you will not be able to enjoy the trek, according to me, because you will find it difficult. It will become like a workout for you. It will become like, why did I come here? You will be pushing yourself unwillingly if you're not prepared. So preparation is also so that you can enjoy the trek very, very nicely. And this is not just for Sandakphu. It could be for any other treks that you go in any region, perhaps across the world. Network connectivity on the trail is almost zero. You will get the last network in this place called Sepi. From the second day onwards, you can kind of forget about the network. It's going to be non-existent. Maybe a few places you might get a very weak signal to send text messages, but I would say you will not really get network over here in this trail. Again, on the last day, you do. So, and I personally feel just keep your phone on airplane mode, text anyone that I'm not going to be available for at least 5 days. That's it. Just enjoy the nature. Cost of the trek and my overall experience with Indiahikes. So this is something a lot of people asked, okay? So the cost of the trek when I went was 12,000. I think it must have increased by 1.5 or 2,000 right now. But the experience with Indiahikes was really interesting. First of all, let me tell what I really liked, and then I'll say what I did not like. It's not that major, but let's be honest, right? So the first thing, the way they take care of the campsite, the way they take care of, not destroying the environment is something I really, really like about Indiahikes. The food is great. When you go on a trek like this, you're getting like proper meals. I think that is something not to be expected. You cannot do that if you're hiking on your own or in a DIY style. You'll just have to rely on packet kind of foods and dry fruits and all of that. But here you're getting proper meals, which is something great, right? Hats off to the people who work over there. Safety, definitely. It is, you can just go with Indiahikes. Even other organizations also, but since I went with them in this trek, I'll talk about it. There's no issue regarding safety and all of that. So these are things which are really good. The campsites they choose are amazing, so I really love that as well. But what I did not like is the group size. It was about 25, 26 people, so it's a huge group. And unfortunately, the group and I went in, some people were making a lot of noise, like I would say 5 or 6 of them. And I personally did not like that. People were shouting and talking very loudly on the trail. मुझे personally उतना पसंद नहीं आया. Now, I don't want to judge because they went as a group of friends, but imagine hiking in nature and just listening to the sounds of nature. You're talking to your fellow trekkers in the campsite. That is great. But while hiking, listening to the sounds of nature, just your own footsteps or others' footsteps, I think that's something I like. So, ye cheez, such a big group, I think becomes difficult to manage at times. And 3 people sleeping in a tent. This is what happened back then. I think they've changed it right now. I'm not sure. So that was something I did not like. It was very congested in the tent with the luggage and everything. So yeah, if you can kind of neglect these 2 things, it's great. Absolutely great. No issues at all. What trekking gear is required? Do you need to buy a lot of trekking gear for this trek? Now, this is of course a beginner kind of question. What trekking gear do you really need in any kind of trek? Basically, not just Sandakphu Phalut. A good pair of shoes, definitely if you're going in the winter months. A good warm hiking pants, a dry fit t-shirt, a fleece kind of t-shirt, sweater and a down jacket, and of course your neck warmers or mufflers, and sun cap and all of these. But here's the thing, trek poles. You do not need to buy all of these things because you're just going for the trek for the first time. I will not recommend it because you are going to spend a lot of money, and maybe it's not required because you perhaps are not sure whether you will be trekking again in the next 1.5 or 2 years. So why do you want to buy all of these things when you're not sure whether you will enjoy trekking or not, right? So most of these companies like Indiahikes, Trek the Himalayas and a few others, they have these options of renting a gear, whether that's trek pole, even shoes and backpacks for that matter. You can rent it, jackets as well, down jackets. So I would say, why not rent it for the first time, right? The only thing which I will recommend you to buy is a good pair of hiking shoe, because you might be going out for even short hikes near your cities, wherever you live. So those shoes will also be used in such, hiking, maybe in the Western Ghats, in the Sayadris, or anywhere, wherever you live, like maybe short day hikes, right? So shoes can be a good option to buy. Other than that, I will suggest you don't need to. If you're just going for your first trek and you're not sure that whether you will like it or not, it's okay. You don't need to buy it. That's my personal recommendation. So these are the things which I discussed today. And if you have any more questions, do leave a comment below. I will surely reply if I know it or if I don't know it. And stay tuned. Subscribe to this channel for more such videos. I'll be back with some travel video or some adventure video. See you on the next one.